All worlds begin with Demon Slayer. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276, Zenitsu as usual. Hearing this girl being called Lady Kurikaraku by the members of the Hidden Core, Tanjiro's curiosity became stronger, because Tanjiro knew that she was a member of the Demon Slayer Corps who was selected in the same class as him. Logically, her status should be the same as his. Being called Lady by the members of the Hidden Core, could it be that she is also a person as powerful as Bai Yu? Do you know her? Can you tell me who she is? Tanjiro couldn't help but ask the Hidden Core. At this time, Bai Yu answered for Tanjiro. She is the stepson of the pillar, that is, the designated successor of Kocho Shinobu. Her strength is definitely not inferior to yours. Her full name should be Kaneo Kurikaraku. After hearing Bai Yu's answer, Tanjiro also knew her identity. He didn't expect that this taciturn girl was actually the successor of the pillar. But, how did Bai Yu know all this? Logically, Bai Yu should not know Kaneo. Just when Tanjiro was confused again, another girl's voice suddenly came from behind him. What are you doing? Immediately, Bai Yu turned around and then found a little girl with twin ponytails standing not far behind him. She was also very pretty, and the white robe she wore had a bit of the flavor of a medical staff. After Bai Yu turned around, the little girl couldn't help but be fascinated by Bai Yu's beautiful face, and her face suddenly turned red. However, she was soon attracted by the large amount of blood on Bai Yu's coat, and then she thought Bai Yu was injured. Mr. Butterfly asked us to come. The two hidden team members immediately explained. It's hidden. You are here to send the wounded. Come with me. The little girl immediately led Bai Yu and others into a medical room without any nonsense. Before leaving, Tanjiro didn't forget to take a look at Kaneo, who hadn't spoken from beginning to end. If she hadn't rejected Bai Yu's approach last time, Tanjiro would really think that Kaneo might be a mute. Don't look. Her world is not so easy to enter, Bai Yu said to Tanjiro. When Bai Yu passed by a room in the medical room, he heard someone yelling inside, and the voice was very familiar. He stopped and stood outside the door to look at the situation in the room. In the room, Agatsuma Zenitsu, who had his gauze untied and was naked, kept rolling around on the hospital bed and kept resisting. What did you put on me? It hurts. It feels like something is gnawing at my body. Do you want to kill me? Stop it. I survived with great difficulty, and I haven't gotten married yet. Unless one of you is willing to marry me, I won't let you touch me. My body belongs to Nezuko. The little girl who wiped the potion on Agatsuma Zenitsu couldn't help but feel embarrassed, and then said helplessly, this potion is to help your atrophied hands and feet grow again. If you don't want to apply it, your atrophied hands and feet will never be completely restored. Tanjiro saw Agatsuma Zenitsu making a fuss in the ward. Tanjiro couldn't help but feel happy and helpless. This guy is still the same. The little girl also stopped and then looked at the person who was yelling in the room and then complained, what an annoying guy. He is actually restless to accept treatment. Chapter 277 Little Girl Kanzuki Aoi. Really? Can it really be cured? How did you cure it? Please explain it to me in detail. If I don't apply it, will I turn into a human-headed spider again? Zenitsu Agatsuma kept talking. The little girl couldn't bear to watch any longer, so she immediately walked into the house and then slapped Zenitsu Agatsuma, who was rolling on the bed. Of course, the little girl didn't slap Zenitsu's face, but his butt. In fact, the little girl didn't want to slap his butt, but Zenitsu Agatsuma kept rolling around, so the slap that was originally intended to be on his stomach fell on his. But as Zenitsu Agatsuma rolled over, Zenitsu Agatsuma was slapped like a computer crash, and he kept twitching. If you don't accept the treatment honestly, I will tie you up. The little girl warned Zenitsu Agatsuma without any politeness. Bai Yu had also come to Zenitsu's bed, and then looked at Agatsuma Zenitsu with a smile, and said, Zenitsu, it seems that you have other plans. Are you going to marry another girl? Agatsuma's Zenitsu, who was twitching, suddenly shuddered and stopped twitching instantly, then waved his two hands that had already shown signs of shrinking, and explained to Bai Yu awkwardly, "Senior Bai Yu, how is this possible? I just wanted to scare them, didn't I say at the end, that my soul and body only belong to Nezuko?" Bai Yu naturally wouldn't believe everything Agatsuma Zenitsu said. After all, 9 out of 10 of what this guy said were nonsense. Then don't talk nonsense, and accept the treatment honestly. If you become disabled, you can't protect Nezuko. Tanjiro will not accept people who can't protect Nezuko, because Nezuko needs to be protected. Bai Yu said, and couldn't help but pat Agatsuma Zenitsu on the butt. After that, he looked around the room, and Inosuke was lying on the bed next to Agatsuma Zenitsu. There were no people in the other beds around the room. It was obvious that it was because Zenitsu, Agatsuma and Inosuke could not squeeze into the same ward with others, so they were left alone. Immediately, he said to the two hidden team members carrying the stretcher, "Put Tanjiro on the bed, your work is done." Hearing this, the two put Tanjiro on the bed very neatly. After doing this, they said to Bai Yu, "Master Bai Yu, we will take our leave first." After that, the two bowed to Bai Yu and then left the ward in a flash. At this time, the little girl who spanked Zenitsu Agatsuma came to Bai Yu and said to Bai Yu, "Take off your clothes." Hearing this, Bai Yu looked at the little girl in surprise and couldn't believe that a little girl of about 12 years old actually asked him to take off his clothes. If it was Shinobu Kocho who asked him to take off his clothes, Bai Yu could understand it, but it was very abnormal for a little girl who had not yet reached puberty to ask him to take off his clothes. "Little sister, why are you taking off your clothes?" Bai Yu asked in confusion. "Of course I'm checking my wounds. And my name is Kanzaki Aoi, not little sister." Kanzaki Aoi explained, and also told Bai Yu her name. Looking at this Kanzaki Aoi with a unique personality, Bai Yu couldn't help but smile at her. Chapter 278 Bone Touching. Although Kanzaki Aoi was once again fascinated by Bai Yu's smile, it was also because of this that Kanzaki Aoi saw that Bai Yu did not take off his clothes and immediately urged him, "Hurry up, you have lost a lot of blood, the wound should be very deep, you can't delay it any longer." Hearing this, Bai Yu looked at his coat stained with the blood of the lower moon 5 and laughed out loud. It seems that Kanzaki Aoi, this little girl, misunderstood. Seeing so much blood on her coat, she thought she was injured. "What are you laughing at? Take off your clothes quickly and let me help you treat your wound," Kanzaki Aoi said a little unhappily. After that, Kanzaki Aoi directly helped Bai Yu take off his clothes. Bai Yu was also frightened by Kanzaki Aoi's actions. This girl is really impatient. She actually took action herself. When Zenitsu Agatsuma saw Aoi Kanzaki taking off Bai Yu's clothes, he became excited and started to make a noise. "I saw it. You two actually did such a thing in public. Senior Bai Yu, I'm going to tell Kiko that you kissed other girls." Bai Yu grabbed Aoi Kanzaki's hands and stopped her behavior, and then ignored Zenitsu Agatsuma's threats. This guy's like this when he sees a girl sticking to him. He always uses Kiko from the birth house to put pressure on himself. I'm a medical staff member who specializes in treating injuries in the chaya. Please cooperate with me. Aoi Kanzaki didn't expect Bai Yu to not cooperate with her examination and treatment, and immediately said in a very tough attitude, "I'm not injured. The blood on my clothes is not mine. It was splashed by the ghost. You should go and check Tanjiro first." Bai Yu immediately explained. After listening to Bai Yu's explanation, Kanzaki Aoi was also stunned, and then she changed the subject and continued, "You have to check it for me first." Seeing Bai Yu being raped by a little sister, Zenitsu Agatsuma was very happy and envious. He couldn't help but fantasize about when he could meet such a domineering and proactive girl to treat him like this. Bai Yu, who couldn't beat Kanzaki Aoi, had to let Kanzaki Aoi check, but Bai Yu had to take off his clothes by himself. Okay, I'll do it myself." Bai Yu immediately took off his shirt and revealed his upper body with tough lines. Bai Yu's body is not as strong as Inosuke's, but he still has muscles, but he is a more symmetrical type. Seeing Bai Yu revealing his upper body, Kanzaki Aoi couldn't help but be fascinated by Bai Yu's golden ratio body again. Then, Kanzaki Aoi couldn't help but reach out and touch it. Bai Yu naturally didn't dare to ask more. After all, if he asked, wouldn't that tell Kanzaki Aoi that he had a wrong idea? Kanzaki Aoi's initial caressing was really just to touch Bai Yu's body, but after a few seconds, she realized that she was examining Bai Yu, not playing with him. Immediately, Kanzaki Aoi's technique became extremely professional, and every joint and bone in Bai Yu's upper body was touched by Kanzaki Aoi. Even Bai Yu himself could feel the professionalism of Kanzaki Aoi's bone touching technique, because the precise positioning of the joint nodes was not something that could be done casually. It seems that, although Kanzaki Aoi is young, she also has her own skills. Chapter 279. I like to see handsome guys. After Kanzaki Aoi examined Bai Yu, she was sure that Bai Yu had no external or internal injuries, and immediately said to Bai Yu, "Okay, put on your clothes first." Seeing that Kanzaki Aoi was finally willing to give up, Bai Yu put his clothes back on. Kanzaki Aoi then came to Tanjiro's bedside, ready to examine Tanjiro, who was really injured, and then formulate a treatment plan. Tanjiro saw Kanzaki Aoi coming over, and with Bai Yu as the precedent, Tanjiro took the initiative to take off his clothes before Kanzaki Aoi opened his mouth, so that Kanzaki Aoi could examine him. When Kanzaki Aoi saw Tanjiro taking off his clothes, she was frightened. She didn't understand why Tanjiro was taking off his clothes, so she stopped him immediately and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Who told you to take off your clothes? No need to take off your clothes." Hearing this, Tanjiro stopped his actions awkwardly, then looked at Kanzaki Aoi with a confused face and asked, "Didn't Bai Yu Sr. also take off his clothes just now?" Bai Yu immediately looked at Kanzaki Aoi, as if waiting for her answer. At this time, Agatsuma Zenitsu jumped out and said, "Tanjiro, with your looks, you can't enjoy the same treatment as Bai Yu Sr. Aoi only likes to watch handsome guys take off their clothes. You'd better forget it." Hearing this, Tanjiro suddenly realized, "Is that so? So you like to watch handsome guys take off their clothes?" In terms of appearance, Tanjiro still admitted that he was not as popular with girls as Bai Yu, so Tanjiro was not angry. Kanzaki Aoi was pointed out by Agatsuma Zenitsu, and she panicked for a moment, but she didn't want to expose her thoughts like this, and immediately denied it. "No. Taking off his clothes is just to check if he has serious external injuries. After all, his clothes are covered in blood." After hearing Kanzaki Aoi's explanation, Tanjiro also felt that it made sense, and immediately said to Kanzaki Aoi, "Aoi-chan, I also have many bloody wounds on my body. Are you sure you don't need to check them for me?" Hearing this, Kanzaki Aoi had to agree to Tanjiro taking off his clothes. "Then take them off. Take them off." Just as Kanzaki Aoi was waiting for Tanjiro to take off his clothes, her eyes turned to Agatsuma Zenitsu with some hostility, and she had the idea of retaliating against Agatsuma Zenitsu for being too talkative. "Zyra-king, quickly apply medicine to that restless guy. Don't delay the patient's recovery." Kanzaki Aoi immediately ordered the girl named Zyra-king to apply medicine to Agatsuma Zenitsu. "Yes." Zyra-king also agreed quickly, then took off her shoes, sat on the back of Agatsuma Zenitsu, pressed Agatsuma Zenitsu with her body, and began to apply the potion to Agatsuma Zenitsu. As a result, Agatsuma Zenitsu began to wail and scream again. The feeling of applying the potion on the body was not good. It felt like the body was bitten by countless tiny fangs. Although it didn't feel good, it did stimulate the atrophied limbs to grow and recover. After all, Agatsuma Zenitsu's limbs were already obviously atrophied at this time. If he didn't actively receive treatment, the final result might be that Agatsuma Zenitsu couldn't recover. In that case, Agatsuma Zenitsu would be completely disabled. "Ah, murder!" Agatsuma Zenitsu screamed. Kanzaki Aoi saw Agatsuma Zenitsu wailing, and her heart was secretly happy. At the same time, she also began to carefully examine Tanjiro's physical injuries. Chapter 280. Zenitsu with a pig-like appearance. However, even though he knew that Kanzaki Aoi had other intentions in asking him to take off his clothes, Bai Yu was too lazy to care about it. After all, things had already happened, and Kanzaki Aoi had seen what she should have seen, and touched what she should have touched. Bai Yu couldn't possibly blind her eyes and cut off her hands for this. Then, Bai Yu put the mist spruce wooden box next to Tanjiro's bed, and then said to Tanjiro, "Tanjiro, Nezuko will be temporarily in your care. I will take her to take a bath and change into clean clothes at night." Tanjiro had no objection to this, because Tanjiro trusted Bai Yu 100%, so even if Bai Yu gave Nezuko a bath himself, Tanjiro would not have any waves in his heart. When Zenitsu Agatsuma heard what Bai Yu said, he suddenly became excited and almost knocked King, who was sitting on his back, off the horse. Fortunately, King finally grabbed Zenitsu Agatsuma's two ears, which stabilized his body. Because Zenitsu Agatsuma was only poisoned and not injured, so now he is fine except for the atrophy of his limbs that need treatment and recovery. Senior Bai Yu, let me do this. I will definitely wash Nezuko clean and fragrant. Zenitsu Agatsuma looked like he wanted to strip Nezuko's clothes off and take her to take a bath. If King hadn't pulled Zenitsu Agatsuma's ears, Zenitsu Agatsuma would have rushed to Bai Yu and hugged Bai Yu's thighs and begged. Tanjiro was very helpless to see Zenitsu Agatsuma's pig-like appearance. Naturally, Tanjiro was unwilling to let Zenitsu Agatsuma do this. This guy was too frivolous and did it just to see Nezuko's body. What are you thinking? A boy is going to help a girl take a bath. Bai Yu poured a basin of cold water over. I think you are afraid that I will take your job, Senior Bai Yu. I know everything you are thinking. Agatsuma Zenitsu complained with some dissatisfaction. Hearing Agatsuma Zenitsu saying that he knew everything he was thinking, Bai Yu couldn't help but find it funny. This guy just thinks that every boy's like him, with his mind full of women. I would be afraid. You think too much. This matter is not my turn, nor your turn. Bai Yu said calmly. Even if Bai Yu wants to give Nezuko a bath himself, Agatsuma Zenitsu can only stare at him, even if he is unwilling. Hearing this, Agatsuma Zenitsu could only look disappointed. At this time, Kanzaki Aoi, who was examining Tanjiro, naturally heard the conversation between Agatsuma Zenitsu and Shiraha. Kanzaki Aoi also gave Agatsuma Zenitsu a disgusted look at the pig-like Agatsuma Zenitsu, and then whispered to Agatsuma Zenitsu, "Shameless. Most of your injuries are external injuries. The most serious one is near the jawbone, which shows signs of gravity impact. The ribs in the chest are also fractured. Also, the meridians in your joints are swollen. It is estimated that the meridians have been impacted. It is estimated that when you were hit hard, your breathing was not controlled well, and there was a rushing meridian." Kanzaki Aoi then told Tanjiro's injuries one by one. Tanjiro heard her accurate report of the injury and was shocked by Kanzaki Aoi's accurate diagnosis. I didn't expect that such a girl who was younger than me would have such a skill. She could diagnose the injury so accurately just by looking and touching. Chapter 281 Inosuke loses his fighting spirit. I'll get some medicine for your external injuries first. As for the internal injuries, you can only take some herbs that are helpful to your injuries to recover. After saying that, Kanzaki Aoi left the ward and prepared the medicines that Tanjiro needed. After Kanzaki Aoi left, Tanjiro looked at Inosuke, who was unusually quiet. Could it be that Inosuke was still in a coma and hadn't woken up? Inosuke. Inosuke. Tanjiro tried to call a few times. What? Inosuke's voice was very low and hoarse. Hearing Inosuke's hoarse reply, Tanjiro became excited and asked, "Inosuke, what's wrong with you? Why does your voice become like this?" It seems that his throat is broken. I don't know the details. He kept shouting as soon as he woke up, and his throat was broken. He broke his own throat. Inosuke is really talented. I'm dying of laughter at his honest appearance now. He is like this. It's all his own fault. Agatsuma Zenitsu told Tanjiro about Inosuke's situation. The more he talked, Agatsuma Zenitsu couldn't help laughing at Inosuke's silly behavior. Just when Agatsuma Zenitsu was laughing so hard that tears came out, King, who was sitting on Agatsuma Zenitsu's back, applied the medicine to Agatsuma Zenitsu again. Suddenly, Agatsuma Zenitsu's smile was replaced by pain. It hurts. It hurts, Zyraking-chan. Couldn't you tell me in advance? Agatsuma Zenitsu complained. After hearing the explanation from Agatsuma Zenitsu, Tanjiro finally understood why Inosuke was so uncharacteristically quiet. I'm sorry, I'm too weak. Inosuke said sorry in a lost tone. The reason why Inosuke apologized might be because it was the first time he experienced the sinking after defeat, or it might be because of the recognition after being ridiculed by Agatsuma Zenitsu. Maybe he could only be furious after defeat and shout his throat out. Hearing Inosuke's dejected words, Tanjiro immediately encouraged him. Cheer up, Inosuke, you are not like yourself. It's all my fault that I didn't rush back in time to fight alongside you. Otherwise, the two of us would definitely be able to kill that spider-faced ghost. You did a great job. It's amazing. After all, you survived successfully. As long as you survive, you will have the opportunity to continue to become stronger. Agatsuma Zenitsu also began to encourage Inosuke. Bai Yu didn't say much to Inosuke. Bai Yu, who was tired from the journey, had quietly fallen asleep on the empty bed in the room. However, Inosuke did not say anything after that. Immediately, Kanzaki Aoi pushed the tool cart back to the ward. On the tool cart, there was a bowl of hot, smelly medicinal food. Zyraking, give this medicine to that yellow-haired boy. Kanzaki Aoi immediately ordered Zyraking. Zyraking jumped off the back of Agatsuma Zenitsu, put on her white shoes, and took the medicinal food on the tool cart. Then, Kanzaki Aoi pushed the tool cart to Tanjiro's bedside and treated Tanjiro's wound. What is this? It smells so bad. I know it's unpalatable. As soon as I smell it, I don't want to drink it. Agatsuma Zenitsu pinched his nose, looking resistant. Zyraking was also very helpless. Agatsuma Zenitsu had never cooperated with the treatment. Chapter 282 Memories of the Pillars. At night, the Demon Slayer Corps leader Yubuayashiki Ishihara and the 9 pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps sat on the floor in the room and held their meeting. The room was lit with kerosene lamps. Because it was on the mountain, there was no power line, so it was impossible to use electricity. As everyone has said, the casualties of the Demon Slayer Corps have reached a very serious level, and the lives of ordinary people will be greatly threatened by the sudden decrease in the number of Demon Slayer Corps. Because of this, I think the Demon Slayer Corps must absorb more fresh blood at this stage. What do you think about this? Yubuayashiki Ishihara spoke out the content of the meeting. Hearing this, Fusagora, who was already full of anger, was the first to say, the siege battle at Spider Mountain this time made me clearly see how vulnerable the members of the Demon Slayer Corps are. The quality of the members has been so low that I can't accept it. They are almost useless. In this regard, I think the biggest responsibility as a trainer of the Demon Slayer Corps. I actually trained such a low-level demon hunter. The white-haired kid in the daytime was useful. He not only killed 4 lower string demons, but also gave Fusagora a gorgeous head-on blow. But he has great potential. Maybe it will take his power to eliminate Muzan Kibutsuji. Sound pillar Yuzu Tenjin couldn't help but touch his chin and admire Bai Yu. Fusagora saw Yuzu Tenjin picking on his scars and couldn't help but snorted, but at the same time he didn't make any excuses. Fusagora would not find a reason to cover up the facts of what had already become facts. The more people there are, the harder it is to command them. Moreover, if we increase the number of people, funding will also be a big problem. This era is very different from the past. Shinobu Kocha gave her own opinion in a relatively objective manner. After all, ghost hunters are a high-risk profession, and not every member is willing to hunt demons for the Demon Slayer Corps for free. Even if all ghost hunters do not want remuneration and bounties, as human beings, they still need money to maintain their lives when they go out. If they cannot even guarantee basic food and clothing, then there is no need to hunt demons. Therefore, financial expenses are absolutely indispensable. In addition to the ghost hunters on the front line, the hidden department responsible for logistics is also a department that the Demon Slayer Corps needs a lot of funds to maintain. Because the hidden department does not need to hunt demons, the duties they are responsible for are basically not life-threatening, which also means that the members of the hidden department only receive a fixed monthly remuneration and no additional bounty. The ghost hunters not only have a fixed monthly living allowance, but also receive a corresponding additional bounty for each demon they kill. If a ghost hunter refuses to go on a mission 3 times within a month, he will automatically give up his status as a ghost hunter of the Demon Slayer Corps. This will avoid the existence of ghost hunters who are just trying to get the living allowance. Because the living allowance that the Demon Slayer Corps pays to ghost hunters every month is not a small amount, it can be said to be equivalent to the monthly expenses of a well-off family. Even if they don't go on a mission, ghost hunters can live a very comfortable life with the living allowance. Therefore, in order to prevent such things from happening, the Demon Slayer Corps set up this rule. Chapter 283 Late Night Visit. Of course, this rule is invalid for the pillars, because the actions of the pillars are often personally assigned by the head of the Demon Slayer Corps, so there is no such thing as refusing to go on a mission. Those who join the team, because their loved ones are killed, and those whose families have been descendants of demon hunters for generations, are the core blood of the Demon Slayer Corps. Those who are neither of the two, it is really not feasible to ask them to devote their lives to the Demon Slayer Corps. Rock Pillar Beaming Gyujiomai continued with what Kocho Shinobu said. By the way, that boy named Bai Yu, he was able to meet the 12 demon moons, and kill them not long after joining the team. Maybe he has the magic power to attract the 12 demon moons. Even we find it difficult to meet the 12 demon moons. I really envy him. Flame Pillaring Goku Kaijiro did not give his own opinions and views on what Yubuayasha Kiyoya proposed, but praised Bai Yu. After that, Tomioka Giyu, Kanrigi Mitsuri, Takito Muchiro, and Aguro Abane did not speak. The surroundings were quiet for a moment, and then Yubuayasha Kiyoya said, "That's true. The lower moon demons made such a big fuss in Spider Mountain, which means that Muzan Kibutsuji is very likely not in Nada Spider Mountain. The same goes for Asakusa. As long as there is something he wants to hide, Muzan Kibutsuji will let the demons under his command cause a commotion and cleverly divert our attention. Perhaps we can really use the attraction of Shirada and Tanjiro to make Muzan Kibutsuji show up." However, the demons are now also frantically devouring humans to grow stronger and accumulate strength. To this end, what we can do is to gather the strength of all of you to completely defeat them. I think that the pillars gathered here are the most elite group since the initial breathing swordsmen of the Warring States period. Jayami Hiramashima, Tenjin Yuzu, Rengoku Kaijiro, Mitsuri Kanrigi, Fushiguro Sanya, Takito Muchiro, Iguro Abane, Shinobu Kocho, Tomioka Giyu. My children, I look forward to your great performance. Shinobu Kocho, who came back from the meeting of the pillars, immediately went to find Bai Yu. At this time, Bai Yu had already eaten, drunk, and slept well, and had washed her body and changed her clothes. She was lying in the independent ward, where the 4 people were, looking at the ceiling. Bai Yu had also asked Kanzaki Aoi to help wash Nezuko's body. Kanzaki Aoi, who saw Nezuko, also discovered Nezuko's identity as a ghost at the first time. After Bai Yu explained it to her, she felt relieved. After all, Bai Yu was carrying a ghost in the Demon Slayer Corps. Even if he didn't say it, someone else would definitely find it. Therefore, Bai Yu and Nezuko must have been given privileges. At this time, Tanjiro, Zenitsu Agatsuma, and Inosuke had all fallen asleep. The ward was very quiet except for the snoring of Zenitsu Agatsuma. As soon as Shinobu Kocho appeared outside the ward, Bai Yu noticed her and shifted his gaze over. Shinobu Kocho quickly came to Bai Yu's bedside and said, "You are not a patient. Why are you living in the ward? Come with me. I have prepared a place for you." As she said that, Shinobu Kocho took Bai Yu's hand and pulled Bai Yu up from the bed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284, Kocho Shinobu's sister. Bai Yu didn't have any particularly high requirements for food, clothing, housing and transportation, so Bai Yu didn't mean to leave with Kocho Shinobu. Instead, he said to Kocho Shinobu lightly, "It's nice here, and it's quiet." Kocho Shinobu didn't get angry because of Bai Yu's refusal, but instead showed an even brighter smile, and then said, "You like quiet? The place I prepared is very quiet. With your strength, you should enjoy the same treatment as the pillars." Looking at Tanjiro, Agatsuma, Zenitsu and Inosuke were already sleeping. Bai Yu didn't want to argue too much with Kocho Shinobu and wake up the three, so he fell silent. Seeing Bai Yu silent, Kocho Shinobu took advantage of the situation and pulled Bai Yu away from the bed and then said to Bai Yu with a smile, "Let's go." In this way, under Kocho Shinobu's hard pull, Bai Yu was taken to an independent small courtyard, and there was an independent small wooden building sitting in the small courtyard. "You will live here from now on. Come in with me, I'll take you to your room." Kocho Shinobu pulled Bai Yu into the small wooden building impatiently, and then took Bai Yu to a small, but very clean and tidy room. The room was also filled with a faint fragrance, which obviously should not be an idle room, or a room that is often taken care of. With the help of the light from the kerosene lamp in the room, Bai Yu took a quick look around the room, and then asked Shinobu Kocho, "This room is not where you live, right? Other girls should have lived there, right?" Hearing this, Shinobu Kocho did not expect Bai Yu to ask these questions, so she replied to Bai Yu, "This room has always been occupied by my sister, but now she is gone, so it has been idle." Bai Yu knew what Shinobu Kocho meant by no longer here, but Bai Yu did not point it out, but continued, "It seems that your sister is very important in your mind. You take care of her room so attentively. But, is it really okay for me to live in this room?" "It's okay. My sister must be willing for you to live in her room, because she has always hoped that ghosts can live in peace with humans. This has already been realized in you and Nezuko. If my sister knew, she would definitely be very happy." Shinobu Kocho said, with a trace of tears in the corner of her eyes and the smile on her face. Hearing this, Bai Yu did not expect that Kocho Shinobu's sister would actually be such an ideal person. Obviously, Kocho Shinobu's sister must be very kind and generous to have such an ideal. However, Bai Yu did not expect Kocho Shinobu to shed tears while smiling. Seeing the tears overflowing from Kocho Shinobu's eyes, Bai Yu couldn't help but reach out his hand and wipe them for Kocho Shinobu, then smiled faintly at her and said, "I didn't expect that as a pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, you would actually be a girl who cries." Kocho Shinobu was stunned when she saw Bai Yu actively wipe away the tears from her eyes, and then looked at Bai Yu in a daze. You know, no boy has ever made such a heart-stirring move to Kocho Shinobu. Looking at the smile on Bai Yu's face, her sister's face couldn't help but overlap with Bai Yu's face. Kocho Shinobu had an illusion at this time. She felt that Bai Yu might be the man her sister sent from heaven to protect her. Chapter 285, Love at First Kiss. Seeing that Kocho Shinobu was staring at him, Bai Yu immediately said, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your crying." However, as soon as Bai Yu finished speaking, Kocho Shinobu suddenly pressed against Bai Yu, and at the same time, Kocho Shinobu stepped on Bai Yu's instep and stood on tiptoe, and then kissed Bai Yu on the mouth. Bai Yu didn't expect Kocho Shinobu to kiss him suddenly, and then his hands couldn't help but grab Kocho Shinobu's body tightly. It was just Bai Yu's instinctive reaction, and Kocho Shinobu was grabbed by Bai Yu, so he thought Bai Yu was responding to him, and suddenly, Bai Yu became the other half of Kocho Shinobu's emotional release. Bai Yu couldn't resist Kocho Shinobu's feeling at all, and over time, Bai Yu was also conquered by Kocho Shinobu's attack. The next day Tanjiro and Agatsuma Zenitsu woke up early in the morning, and soon found Bai Yu, who was no longer in the room. Inosuke was still lying quietly on the bed, and it was unknown whether he was awake or not. Tanjiro and my wife Zenitsu were both curious about where Bai Yu had gone. Out of curiosity, Tanjiro couldn't help but look at the mist spruce wooden box placed beside the bed. When he found that the box was still there, Tanjiro felt much more at ease. "I have a hunch that Bai Yu Sr. must have sneaked out to meet Kiko while we were sleeping last night." My wife Zenitsu couldn't help but start to analyze the reason why Bai Yu was not in the room. Hearing my wife Zenitsu's analysis, Tanjiro didn't care too much. Even so, it was Bai Yu's emotional private matter, and Tanjiro didn't want to discuss it too much. "Tanjiro, Zenitsu, it seems that you are in good spirits. At this time, Murata Shinichi came to the ward, where Tanjiro was early in the morning, to visit Tanjiro and my wife Zenitsu. As he said that, Shinichi came in, and looked at Inosuke lying on the bed like a corpse. Shinichi asked, "How is Inosuke? Is he still asleep?" "Maybe. Inosuke has experienced too many things, and he is probably thinking about life." Tanjiro replied. "This guy's depressed, look is really abnormal." Shinichi couldn't help but sighed, but he could understand Inosuke. After all, he was a person who had walked through the gates of hell, so his heart would naturally be greatly shocked. Soon, Shinichi looked around again, and after finding that Bai Yu was not there, he asked again, "Where is Bai Yu Sr.? What did he do?" Tanjiro shook his head and said, "I don't know." At this time, Zenitsu Agatsuma took over and said, "Shinichi, I tell you, Bai Yu Sr. secretly went out to meet a girl last night." Hearing this improper answer from Zenitsu Agatsuma, Shinichi also became interested. After all, as a boy, he is naturally more interested in such a topic. So, Shinichi carefully asked in a low voice, "Zenitsu, how did you know? Did you see Bai Yu go out with a girl last night?" Zenitsu Agatsuma slept like a pig last night. How could he see Bai Yu being dragged out by Shinobu Kocho? Zenitsu Agatsuma shook his head and said, "I didn't see it, but based on my understanding of Senior Bai Yu, he must have gone to meet the girl in private." Hearing that this was just Zenitsu Agatsuma's nonsense without any basis, Shinichi couldn't help but smile and didn't talk about it with Zenitsu Agatsuma anymore. Chapter 286 Afterwards. After visiting Tanjiro, Shinichi did not disturb Tanjiro, Agatsuma, Zenitsu and Inosuke's rest too much. When Kanzaki Aoi, Zaruking, and another girl named Kanaho came to the ward to take care of Tanjiro, Agatsuma, Zenitsu and Inosuke, Shinichi left. Agatsuma Zenitsu accepted the treatment again under resistance like yesterday. Tanjiro and Inosuke quietly cooperated with the little girls who treated them. On the other side, in the room of Kocho Shinobu's sister, Shiraha and Kocho Shinobu slept together. Kocho Shinobu was still curled up in Shiraha's arms, and Shiraha's hands were still in the posture of hugging Kocho Shinobu. The sunlight shone through the window and hit the eyes of the two. Under the sunlight, the two frowned, and then opened their brows at the same time, and finally the two looked at each other again at close range. In such a close distance, the hot breaths of the two beat each other's chests. After staring at each other for a long time, neither of them spoke. Bai Yu didn't know what to say. Thinking of the crazy behavior last night, should Bai Yu be happy or sad? "Good morning." It was Kocho Shinobu who broke the quiet atmosphere first, and said good morning to Bai Yu with a smile. "Good morning." Bai Yu also replied subconsciously. Afterwards, Bai Yu didn't know how to face Kocho Shinobu. After all, Bai Yu felt that what happened last night was completely caused by the impulse of the two, not the kind of process that came naturally under the accumulation of feelings. "How long are you going to hug? The sun is shining on your butt." Kocho Shinobu couldn't help but remind Bai Yu. Hearing this, Bai Yu moved his hand away from Kocho Shinobu, then slowly sat up and said, "Are you serious about what happened last night?" Bai Yu couldn't help but ask Kocho Shinobu. As for why Kocho Shinobu did that with him, Bai Yu was still not sure what Kocho Shinobu was thinking. Shinobu Kocho didn't expect Bai Yu to ask such an unconfident question, but she could guess why Bai Yu asked that. After all, no one would have expected what happened last night, but Shinobu Kocho knew that, since she had made a choice, it meant that her soul and body had accepted Bai Yu. "It's your first time, what do you think? Are you serious about it?" Shinobu Kocho asked back. Bai Yu naturally knew that it was Shinobu Kocho's first time, otherwise Bai Yu wouldn't have asked that. Bai Yu nodded, and then said, "Do you plan to make our relationship public in the future?" Hearing that, Shinobu Kocho shook her head, and then said, "There's nothing to make public. The Demon Slayer Corps is not a place to show off affection." Shinobu Kocho didn't care at all about whether to make her and Bai Yu's confirmed relationship public, as long as Bai Yu had her in his heart. "Let's leave it at that for now. Let's get up and have breakfast." Shinobu Kocho immediately stopped talking about this somewhat serious topic. So, Bai Yu and Kocho Shinobu got up, and as soon as they went out, they ran into Kaneo, who was smiling at Bai Yu and Kocho Shinobu, who came out of the same room. Kocho Shinobu was not embarrassed at all, and so was Bai Yu. The two of them were very calm about it. Good morning, Kaneo. Kocho Shinobu immediately took the initiative to greet Kaneo. Chapter 287, 12 Moon Slashing Team. Good morning. Bai Yu also greeted Kaneo. Good morning. Kaneo did not show any abnormal behavior because of Bai Yu's presence, as if Bai Yu's presence was not a very abrupt thing in her eyes, but a matter of course. However, it was precisely because of Kaneo's too plain performance that Bai Yu could not guess whether she really could not see what she had with Kocho Shinobu, or whether she was deliberately pretending not to know. Of course, Bai Yu would not be stupid enough to bring up this matter, otherwise Kaneo, who really knew nothing, might make her aware of something because of his proactive statement. Sister Shinobu, I went to your room to find you, and found that you were not there. I knew that you must be thinking about Sister Kani, so I came to Sister Kani's room to find you. Breakfast is ready. Kaneo continued. I know. Kaneo, Bai Yu will live in Sister Kani's room in the future, so you must get along well with Bai Yu in the future. Kocho Shinobu explained to Kaneo that Bai Yu would live in her sister's room in the future. Hearing this, Kaneo did not say much, but just nodded. Kaneo was completely indifferent to Bai Yu's arrival. The days that followed were much more dull. In addition to occasionally treating Tanjiro, Agatsuma Zenitsu and Inosuke with wood breathing, Bai Yu accepted the commission from Yaiba Yoya to conduct special training for the surviving members of Spider Mountain, and Bai Yu also became the special training officer of these members. Of course, these members do not include injured members such as Tanjiro, Agatsuma Zenitsu and Inosuke. They are all members who have minor injuries and do not affect special training. Being able to survive in Nada Spider Mountain, and with low levels of injuries, these members are naturally more capable than those who died. After all, luck is also part of strength. Among them, the brothers Shinichi and Shinji are in the special training team managed by Bai Yu. This is also because the action in Nada Spider Mountain made the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, Yoya, clearly realize that the team was vulnerable. After the meeting of the pillars, most of the pillars felt that expanding the team would not work at all, so Yoya decided to let Spider Mountain survive, and the members who were not seriously injured were specially trained, and then a group of independent action teams independent of the pillars and other ordinary members were obtained. Because of this, there are very few members who can be zero injured in Nada Spider Mountain, including Bai Yu, Shinichi and Shinji. There are exactly 12 people. Bai Yu served as the special training officer and captain in this team. Bai Yu's strength is naturally beyond doubt, and Yoya has definitely reached the level of the pillars. However, now Tomioka Giyu is already in the position of the water pillar, so the position of the water pillar cannot be replaced by Bai Yu. Therefore, Yoya thought that setting up an independent team for Bai Yu to manage and operate might be a good choice. In the special training ground prepared by Yoya for Bai Yu stood in front of the special training teams, looking at the special training team members who were not much different in age from him with a cold face. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Bai Yu. I'm the special training officer for you this time, and also the captain of your 12 Zangetsu team. Chapter 288. Let's change it to Zanyu. As the name suggests, 12/moons means to kill the 12 demon moons. Of course, you definitely can't do it now, so you have to undergo special training. Of course, don't think that you are now fixed members of 12/moons. Those who fail the special training will be eliminated, and the position of 12/moons is reserved for people with strength. There are 3 core trainings in the special training: breathing training, physical training, and moves training. In addition to these, there is an auxiliary training, which is teamwork. The 12/moons team is different from the pillars. The pillars act and fight individually, while the 12/moons team acts as a group. Individual strength is important, but teamwork is equally important. Only with full cooperation can you achieve the effect of 1 + 1 being greater than 2, 3 + 3 being greater than 6, and 6 + 6 being greater than 12. After Bai Yu introduced his name, he couldn't help but explain to everyone the team concept of 12/moons and the direction of the special training. So 12 Zangetsu is a team that uses numbers to bully the weak. I don't want to stay in such a team. I thought they were so awesome. One of the boys with a ruffian look on his face said with a look of disgust after listening to Bai Yu's explanation. Shinichi was the first one to be unhappy and immediately retorted, "Then how awesome are you? You talk as if you are very powerful alone. Why haven't I seen you killing people in Spider Mountain? Otherwise, the Demon Slayer Corps will send reinforcement and you will have to hide in a corner and wait for dawn." Hearing Shinichi mocking him, the boy couldn't help but prepare for a physical fight with Shinichi, but as soon as he rushed out, Bai Yu had indeed stopped the boy without anyone noticing, and at the same time, reached out to grab the boy's collar, then picked him up, and finally threw the boy out like throwing away garbage. After doing all this, Bai Yu clapped his hands, then looked at the people in front of him again. His tone suddenly turned cold, and he said, "The 12/Moon team does not need people who like to fight alone and are unwilling to accept help from the team. Those who think it is shameful to win by relying on the strength of the team can choose to leave now. 12/Moon is not suitable for such people. What are you pretending for? Being a team leader is awesome." Some team members who were dissatisfied with Bai Yu left the special training venue cursing. Bai Yu was not angry at all, because Bai Yu was not angry with these people. They did not want to stay in 12/Moon, that was their choice, and Bai Yu naturally could not force them to stay. One person took the lead to leave, and the second and third people followed suit. Together with the one who was thrown out by Bai Yu before, a total of 4 people ended the special training early. After the 4 people left, the 12 Zangetsu team was reduced to 8 people. Bai Yu immediately said, "In that case, let's change the 12 Zangetsu's number to Zangetsu." When everyone heard Bai Yu's words, they were immediately shocked to the ground. It turned out that the team name, 12 Zangetsu, was just something Bai Yu came up with at random. Everyone thought that it was the team name given by the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps himself. Because of this, except for the brothers Nobukazu and Nobuyoshi, everyone else felt that Bai Yu was a little unreliable. Chapter 289 Breathing Matching. That's all the nonsense. The special training starts now. Bai Yu stopped talking nonsense and began to conduct special training for the remaining players. Bai Yu started with breathing and asked each player to use the breathing he learned in front of him. As a result, he found that the breathing of these players was very stiff and did not have the spirituality that breathing should have. Such breathing could not bring out their own strength at all. So Bai Yu corrected these players' understanding of breathing through his own understanding of breathing and determined the breathing rhythm that best suited them through his own perception. The same breathing method has the same general rhythm, but because the users are different, the fluctuations will also be different. This is the concept of breathing matching. Generally speaking, as long as the breathing matching degree is 70% in line with the body, it is considered to have basically mastered the breathing method. Because these players completely copied the breathing method from their master, although they have learned it, it may not be suitable for them. Therefore, their potential cannot be fully exerted, and their strength can easily reach a bottleneck. It is not an easy task to find their unique fluctuations. Within a day, only 3 people with good comprehension ability have regained the breathing rhythm that suits their bodies. Among these 3 people, all are about 15 or 16 years old, and one of them is Zina. As the elder brother, Zinyi, because of his age, and the original breathing method has become his habit, he needs some time, and remembers to correct it. The 3 team members who have improved their breathing matching degree are also further familiar with the new breathing rhythm. It is also because of the results of the changes of Zina and the other 2, that the others are more attentive to find a breathing rhythm that matches them better under Bai Yu's guidance. The special training of breathing method lasted for 5 days, and all the members of Zanyu have found a breathing rhythm that matches them better. After rematching the breathing, physical training and moves training were also put on the agenda. It is also because of the results of the special training that Bai Yu's prestige in the Zanyu team is getting higher and higher. In addition, Zinyi and Zina spread Bai Yu's deeds, and other team members know how powerful Bai Yu is. When Bai Yu was giving special training to the members of Zangetsu, Shinobu Kocho also occasionally visited Bai Yu in the name of inspection. It was also because of this that the members of Zangetsu noticed the abnormality between Shinobu Kocho and Bai Yu. Unlike when they were in Spider Mountain, they felt that Bai Yu's attitude towards Shinobu Kocho had changed very subtly. In Spider Mountain, the two seemed to be enemies, but now Bai Yu smiled when he saw Shinobu Kocho. After all, everyone was a group of members who came back from Spider Mountain, so they naturally knew about the unpleasantness between Bai Yu and Shinobu Kocho in the camp. Therefore, everyone was a little confused about what was going on between Bai Yu and Shinobu Kocho. Shinichi still remembered that Bai Yu emphasized to Shinobu Kocho that they should keep their distance at that time. Now it should be considered a slap in the face. I think Senior Bai Yu and Lady Kocho must be in love. I smell the scent of love. The only female member of Zangetsu whispered to the other members of Zangetsu gossiping. That Senior Bai Yu is so awesome. He's a pillar. His strength is beyond compare. Who is chasing who? Another member of the Zangetsu team also became interested. It's so obvious that it's hard to tell. Whoever takes the initiative will chase who. Zenai jumped out and said. Chapter 290 Resumption Training. Half a month later, Tanjiro and Inosuke, whose injuries had almost recovered, were called by Shinobu Kocho to resume training in advance. Zenitsu Agatsuma needed to wait until his atrophied limbs were completely healed before he could resume training. Every time he saw Tanjiro and Inosuke coming back from training, they looked like they were tortured. Zenitsu Agatsuma began to worry about what kind of devilish training could torture people into such a miserable state of exhaustion. Seeing Tanjiro and Inosuke coming back exhausted again, Zenitsu Agatsuma couldn't help but ask, Tanjiro, Inosuke, what kind of training tortured you like this? Tanjiro and Inosuke didn't have the energy to pay attention to Zenitsu Agatsuma at this time. Instead, they went back to their beds and lay down and fell asleep. Hey, I'm going to resume training tomorrow too. Can't you tell me what kind of training it is? Let me be mentally prepared. Zenitsu Agatsuma shouted in dissatisfaction. The next morning, Agatsuma Zenitsu followed Tanjiro and Inosuke to the recovery training. Along the way, Tanjiro and Inosuke looked like zombies, which made Agatsuma Zenitsu even more scared. Soon, Agatsuma Zenitsu followed Tanjiro and Inosuke to the recovery training room. In the activity room, Kaneo, Kanzaki Aoi, Kokio, Kanaho, and Kasumi were all there. Kaneo sat in front of a table with many cups, while Kokio, Kanaho, and Kasumi were waiting in front of 3 cushions. Kanzaki Aoi stood in front of Tanjiro, Agatsuma Zenitsu and Inosuke and said, Zenitsu has just started the recovery training today, so I will explain it to you one by one later. Just watch how Tanjiro and Inosuke do it first. First, King, Naho and Kasumi will relax your stiff bodies. Kanzaki Aoi said, and Inosuke was pulled onto the cushion by King, Naho and Kasumi, and began to have his bones and tendons stretched all over his body. Even Inosuke, whose body was unusually soft, cried out in pain under the stretching of King, Naho and Kasumi. After his muscles were relaxed, Inosuke collapsed directly on the cushion. Next is reaction training. The teacups on the table are filled with medicine. You have to sit opposite Kaneo and then splash the medicine on each other. If the other person pushes you down before you pick up the teacup, you don't have to move the cup anymore. Kanzaki Aoi continued to explain reaction training to Zenitsu Agatsuma. As soon as he finished speaking, Zenitsu Agatsuma saw Tanjiro being splashed. After Zenitsu Agatsuma finished watching the 2 trainings conducted by Tanjiro and Inosuke, Kanzaki Aoi finally said to Zenitsu Agatsuma, the last one is full body training. In simple terms, it is a game of ghost catching people. Kaneo and I will be your opponents. After listening to Kanzaki Aoi's words, and having seen the entire recovery training process, Zenitsu Agatsuma said, excuse me, I have something to deal with Tanjiro and Inosuke. You two come out with me. Zenitsu Agatsuma said gloomily to Tanjiro and Inosuke. I'm not going. Inosuke refused very directly. Stop talking nonsense and come here. Agatsuma Zenitsu suddenly roared loudly, and then grabbed Tanjiro and Inosuke by the collar, and dragged them out of the activity room. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291, Fanatic Zenitsu. Then, Agatsuma Zenitsu pulled Tanjiro and Inosuke out of the house. Sit up straight, you two bastards. Agatsuma Zenitsu could no longer suppress his anger, and vented his anger at Tanjiro and Inosuke for being deceived. What are you talking about? Inosuke was angered by Agatsuma Zenitsu, and he couldn't help but get angry. As a result, Agatsuma Zenitsu immediately punched Inosuke in the face, and then Inosuke began to spin 360 degrees and hit the wooden wall. Inosuke, are you okay? Tanjiro was also frightened by Zenitsu Agatsuma's behavior, and immediately asked Zenitsu Agatsuma, Zenitsu, what are you doing? Apologize to Inosuke quickly. You should apologize. You guys should apologize to me. You are in heaven, but you act like you are in hell every day. When I ask you, you don't say anything. It turns out that you are kissing girls every day. Kneel down and apologize. Perform a cesarean section to apologize. Zenitsu Agatsuma pointed at Tanjiro and Inosuke and complained angrily. Zenitsu Agatsuma became more and more angry as he spoke, and finally he jumped up and down with his hands and feet. What are you talking about? Tanjiro was also a little confused as to why Zenitsu Agatsuma said such inexplicable words, and he didn't know why Zenitsu Agatsuma was angry about such a thing. Seeing Tanjiro's rebuttal, Agatsuma Zenitsu yelled at Tanjiro even louder, shut up, you prude. Shut up and listen carefully. Agatsuma Zenitsu grabbed Tanjiro's hair, and then kept shaking Tanjiro, continuing to vent. You can actually touch girls. They will give you massages. You can touch their hands when playing teacup splashing water. You can touch their bodies when playing ghost, catching people. Girls are species with a pair of breasts, 2 buttocks, and 2 thighs. When you pass by them, you will smell good. Just looking at them is also pleasing to the eyes. So happy. So happy. Agatsuma Zenitsu said. The whole person became more and more excited, and finally floated up. What are you talking about? We lost to people who are smaller than us, so we feel very frustrated. Inosuke explained why he looked like a dead person after returning these few days. Oh, you are so pitiful. Have you never gotten along well with girls? You grew up in the mountains, right? No wonder you mature so late. How sad. Agatsuma Zenitsu mocked Inosuke, who didn't care about the relationship between men and women. From Agatsuma Zenitsu's current state, we can see how crazy Agatsuma Zenitsu is about girls. Fortunately, Agatsuma Zenitsu is not an emperor. Otherwise, it will probably be a long time before he dies in bed. Inosuke thought that Agatsuma Zenitsu said that he was pitiful because he was referring to his loss to a girl, so he angrily retorted, what did you say? I'm a person who stepped on young females. You are a scumbag. No woman will like you like this. Agatsuma Zenitsu said angrily. What women? I have as many as you want. Inosuke also said very heroically. In the activity room, Agatsuma Zenitsu's dissatisfied shouting and Inosuke's rebuttal were heard clearly by Kaneo, Kanzaki Aoi, Koki, Kunaho, and Kasumi. Chapter 292, Zenitsu's energetic. After all, Agatsuma Zenitsu's voice was very loud, and there was only a wall between the outside and the inside, so it was impossible for Kanzaki Aoi to ignore it. Hearing these words of Agatsuma Zenitsu, that were extremely enthusiastic about getting along with women, Kanzaki Aoi clenched her fists, wishing she could rush out and beat Agatsuma Zenitsu up right now. Kaneo did not show any emotional changes at all, and it seemed that she did not care about such things at all. After the argument, Agatsuma Zenitsu could not wait to return to the activity room again, and then with a happy look on his face, he took the initiative to say to Kanzaki Aoi, Koki, Kasumi, and Kunaho, please give me more advice. Please start my recovery training. Kanzaki Aoi, Koki, Kasumi, and Kunaho, the 4 girls, could not help but have black lines on their faces. After all, they heard all the words that Agatsuma Zenitsu complained just now. Koki, Kasumi, and Kunaho, you 3 should loosen up his muscles and bones first. Let him relax. Kanzaki Aoi said to King, Zyara Cheng and Kunaho in a very special tone. Yes. King, Zyada-Cheng and Kanaho responded immediately. Agatsuma Zenitsu had already taken the initiative to lie on the cushion, waiting for the close contact of King, Zyada-Cheng and Kanaho. Although King, Zyada-Cheng and Kanaho listened to Kanzaki Aoi's hint and deliberately increased the strength of Agatsuma Zenitsu. But throughout the whole process, Agatsuma Zenitsu was immersed in joy and did not feel any pain at all. That guy is quite capable. I was crying in pain, but he could still laugh. Inosuke couldn't help but admire Agatsuma Zenitsu when he saw that Agatsuma Zenitsu could laugh so happily. And the next Agatsuma Zenitsu reaction training will be with Kanzaki Aoi as Agatsuma Zenitsu's opponent. Agatsuma Zenitsu and Kanzaki Aoi sat opposite each other at the table. Agatsuma Zenitsu, who was looking forward to touching Kanzaki Aoi's little hand, was full of fighting spirit. Start. With Zyada King's voice, Agatsuma Zenitsu and Kanzaki Aoi's hands moved at the same time. However, facing the opportunity to touch Kanzaki Aoi's little hand, Agatsuma Zenitsu's reaction was faster than Kanzaki Aoi's. While one hand was holding down Kanzaki Aoi's hand that was about to pick up the teacup, the other hand had already picked up the teacup on his side. As a result, Agatsuma Zenitsu did not splash the medicine in the teacup over, but said in a gentlemanly manner, "I won't splash water on girls." Seeing that Agatsuma Zenitsu actually pretended to be a gentleman, Kanzaki Aoi immediately rolled her eyes at Agatsuma Zenitsu, then took the opportunity to pick up the teacup with her other hand and poured the medicine in the cup onto Agatsuma Zenitsu. Agatsuma Zenitsu did not expect that he would be so gentlemanly. He was still splashed by Kanzaki Aoi. However, Agatsuma Zenitsu was not angry. Instead, in the following rounds of reaction training, he kept stroking Kanzaki Aoi's little hand, so that Kanzaki Aoi had no chance to splash Kanzaki Zenitsu. The angry Kanzaki Aoi went straight to the final full body training, but was still hugged by Agatsuma Zenitsu. At the same time, Kanzaki Aoi regarded Agatsuma Zenitsu as a hooligan and beat him into a pig's head. Inspired by Agatsuma Zenitsu's victory, Inosuke also began to conduct reflex training and full body training with Kanzaki Aoi with full fighting spirit, and then defeated Kanzaki Aoi very roughly. Because Kanzaki Aoi could no longer deal with Tanjiro, Agatsuma Zenitsu and Inosuke, the next training target was changed to Kaneo. As a result, all three of them were defeated by Kaneo. Chapter 293 Seeking Help from Bai Yu. This fanatical state of Agatsuma Zenitsu only lasted for 3 days. After 3 days, Agatsuma Zenitsu also lost his initial enthusiasm and was gradually beaten to a pulp by Kaneo. What made Agatsuma Zenitsu lose his enthusiasm for training was not the potion splashed by Kaneo, but the fact that Agatsuma Zenitsu could not touch Kaneo, no matter how hard he tried, which was the most fundamental reason for his complete despair. A week later, Agatsuma Zenitsu and Inosuke simply gave up training, and only Tanjiro was still insisting, but the result was still the same. Tanjiro, who encountered a bottleneck, finally thought of Bai Yu, so after the training that day, Tanjiro came to the yard of Bai Yu's special training team members, intending to seek Bai Yu's guidance and help. Tanjiro knew that Bai Yu could definitely see his shortcomings. At this time, Bai Yu was correcting the release of the special training team members' moves. Although the breathing of each team member was different, Bai Yu could still make these team members more exquisite in the release of their respective breathing moves through his understanding of kendo and sword meaning. Tanjiro saw that Bai Yu was already able to teach others on his own, and he couldn't help but feel envious. When would he be able to be like Bai Yu? Seeing Tanjiro's arrival, Bai Yu immediately said to the members of Zangetsu, "What you need to understand most now is why the moves should be released in this way. What are the benefits of such release? And different moves have different focuses. Only by focusing your breathing on the focus of the moves can the power of the moves be maximized. You can go back and understand it yourself today. Today's special training ends here. Everyone can leave." With Bai Yu's announcement, the members of Zangetsu left happily. Only the brothers Shinichi and Shinji stayed and came to Tanjiro. Shinji immediately greeted Tanjiro. "How is your injury recovering?" "It has been completely recovered, and now I'm receiving special recovery training," Tanjiro replied. How are the results of your special training with Senior Bai Yu? Tanjiro then asked back. Hearing Tanjiro ask this, Shinichi said excitedly, the results are great. Through special training, I have now reached the best match with the breathing method. In addition to the breathing training and physical training that I have to do every day, Senior Bai Yu has now started special training on our breathing method. I think that, as long as I train persistently according to the method taught by Senior Bai Yu, I will definitely have the hope of becoming a pillar. Shinichi had just finished speaking when Bai Yu, who had already come in front of Tanjiro, immediately hit the somewhat complacent Shinichi on the head with a fried chestnut, and then said, "Why don't you leave? Are you planning to stay and practice more?" Shinichi knew that Bai Yu and Tanjiro must have something private to discuss, so he smiled awkwardly and said, "Senior Bai Yu, you brothers can talk slowly, my brother and I will leave first." After that, Shinichi took Shinji and left the yard in a flash. "What do you want to see me for?" Bai Yu immediately asked Tanjiro directly. Hearing this, Tanjiro said somewhat embarrassedly, "Senior Bai Yu, I have met an opponent." Opponent? Bai Yu didn't understand what Tanjiro meant by meeting an opponent. Chapter 294 Your breathing is not strong enough. It's the girl named Kaneo. I have been doing recovery training with her these days. I have been defeated by her every time, and have never won. Zenitsu and Inosuke have completely given up, but I don't want to give up just like that. Tanjiro immediately explained to Bai Yu. Hearing this, Bai Yu smiled, then patted Tanjiro on the shoulder and teased, "She is the stepson of a pillar, and it is not unacceptable for you to lose to her." Senior Bai Yu, I just want to know what is the difference between me and her. If I can't break through this bottleneck, I will definitely not be able to become stronger. Tanjiro said to Bai Yu very seriously. "Come in and talk slowly." Bai Yu called Tanjiro into the house in the courtyard. After entering the house, two hidden team members on standby immediately greeted Bai Yu and Tanjiro. "Master Bai Yu, Master Kamado, go and make a pot of hot tea." Bai Yu immediately ordered. "Yes." After the two hidden team members responded, they left the room. After that, Bai Yu and Tanjiro sat opposite each other, and then Bai Yu said, "Tanjiro, tell me about your recovery training first. How did you lose to her?" Hearing this, Tanjiro told Bai Yu about the recovery training. After listening to Tanjiro's story, Bai Yu didn't expect that Tanjiro's recovery training was so simple. No wonder Tanjiro always loses. This kind of training is actually not helpful for improving strength. It only helps the injured's body functions and nerve reflexes to adjust to the state before the injury. The most fundamental reason why Tanjiro lost to Kaneo is the gap in his own strength, which cannot be made up by recovery training alone. Seeing Bai Yu smiled, Tanjiro didn't understand why Bai Yu smiled and immediately asked, "Senior Bai Yu, do you have any questions?" "Of course." Bai Yu answered with certainty. It was a smart decision for Zenitsu and Inosuke to give up training. Even if you do this kind of recovery training for a lifetime, you can't beat Kaneo. Then what should I do to win? Tanjiro couldn't help asking. "Tanjiro, let me ask you, what made you so powerful?" Bai Yu asked back. "It's the breathing method." Tanjiro answered without thinking, but then said a little discouraged, "But, Bai Yu Senior, I still can't beat Kaneo even with my breathing." "That's because your breathing is not strong enough," Bai Yu said lightly. At this time, the two hidden who came back with hot tea and teacups quickly knelt down on one side of the table and then quickly poured tea for Bai Yu and Tanjiro. "Tanjiro, when can you make the water breathing become a part of your body? You will have the possibility of defeating Kaneo," Bai Yu said, then picked up the teacup and took a sip of tea. Hearing this, Tanjiro still didn't quite understand the meaning of Bai Yu's words. What does it mean to make the water breathing become a part of the body? "Bai Yu Senior, can you be more specific?" Tanjiro is a diligent and inquisitive child, so for things he doesn't understand, Tanjiro chose to ask. "How about this? Start by maintaining your water breathing for an hour without interruption. If you interrupt, you must start over." Chapter 295 Normality in the whole episode. When you can maintain the state of full concentration of water breathing for 24 hours, then congratulations, you have entered a new realm, and it will be easy to beat Kaneo. After Bai Yu finished speaking, Tanjiro was also extremely shocked and couldn't help but ask back with some doubt, "Senior Bai Yu, can this really be done? This is the most basic condition for becoming a pillar. Don't think about achieving it all at once. Start with a small goal. When you can persist for an hour, slowly increase the duration until breathing becomes an inseparable part of your body." Bai Yu continued. "Then Senior Bai Yu, can you do this?" Tanjiro asked this question curiously. Bai Yu nodded and didn't say much. Keeping breathing for 24 hours is actually not a difficult thing for Bai Yu. After all, his current breathing realm has reached the level of the ultimate mystery. All the mysteries of the water breathing method have been mastered by Bai Yu, so this is also the reason why Bai Yu can help the members of Zangetsu find the most matching breathing rhythm, and it is also the reason why Bai Yu can see their own shortcomings. The two members of the hidden team also secretly remembered Bai Yu's words in their hearts. After all, as long as they reached this standard, they would be qualified to become pillars. Tanjiro, who was guided by Bai Yu, did not stay for long. After drinking a cup of hot tea, he said goodbye to Bai Yu. "Thank you very much, Bai Yu Senior. Then I will go back first." On the way back, Tanjiro kept thinking about what Bai Yu said. Tanjiro-san. Tanjiro-san. When King, Xianacheng, and Kanaho met Tanjiro on the road, they couldn't help but greeted Tanjiro. Tanjiro was so absorbed in thinking that he didn't hear anyone calling him at all, so he passed by King, Xianacheng, and Kanaho. Seeing that Tanjiro was absent-minded, King, Xianacheng, and Kanaho, who were professional nurses, couldn't help but worry about Tanjiro. Among them, King directly grabbed the corner of Tanjiro's clothes and stopped Tanjiro. Tanjiro, who was being held back, then noticed King, Xianacheng and Naho, and then greeted them. "Hello. Tanjiro-san, what's wrong with you? You looked so anxious just now." King asked Tanjiro. Hearing this, Tanjiro scratched his head and explained, "I was thinking about what Bai Yu Senpai said to me." "What did he say?" Cheng asked curiously. "Bai Yu Senpai said that, if you want to defeat Kaneo, you must keep your breathing in full concentration all the time. I wonder if it will be difficult to do this." Tanjiro replied. "That's right. There is a big difference in strength between those who can do it and those who can't. Kaneo-san can defeat you because she can keep her breathing in full concentration all the time. So, if Tanjiro-san wants to win in training, he has to learn fully concentrated normal." Naho confirmed Tanjiro's previous statement. "Full concentration normal state? Is this the full concentration normal state that Senior Bai Yu wants me to learn?" Tanjiro asked. "Yes." King, Xianacheng, and Naho nodded in affirmation. Chapter 296 Zenitsu's Abandonment. Full collection normal state is the state where breathing reaches a certain level. Tanjiro-san can definitely do it with such hard work. King encouraged Tanjiro. Xianacheng and Naho nodded in agreement. "Thank you. I will do my best." After Tanjiro received encouragement from King, Xianacheng and Naho, his fighting spirit was ignited in his heart. After saying goodbye to King, Xianacheng and Naho, Tanjiro returned to his ward. As soon as he returned to the ward, Zenitsu and Inosuke were lying on the bed doing nothing. Tanjiro was no longer surprised. Since giving up training, Zenitsu, Agatsuma and Inosuke have been like this. Zenitsu, Inosuke. I went to see Shiraha Senpai today, and I got the method to defeat Kaneo from him. Tanjiro still chose to tell Zenitsu, Agatsuma and Inosuke the good news. Inosuke was much more interested than Agatsuma Zenitsu. He sat up from the bed and asked, "What did the white-haired brother say?" "As long as we learn full concentration normal, we will have a chance to defeat Kaneo," Tanjiro replied. "Full concentration normal? What is that?" Agatsuma Zenitsu asked in confusion. "It means to maintain a state of full concentration breathing all the time, and let the full concentration breathing become a natural part of the body." Tanjiro explained immediately. "Are you kidding? Full concentration breathing is a waste of physical strength and energy. How can we maintain this state all the time? Don't we want to sleep?" Agatsuma Zenitsu thought Tanjiro was dreaming, and didn't believe it at all. "That's what Shiraha Senpai said. Koki, Kasumi, Kanaho and the other three also admitted that Kaneo was so powerful because she learned full concentration normal. Tanjiro explained. Hearing this, Agatsuma Zenitsu said again, only freaks like Shirada and Kaneo can do this. Let's forget about it. Agatsuma Zenitsu's personality is like this. When faced with difficulties, he thinks most about avoiding them and never takes the initiative to overcome difficulties. Compared with Agatsuma Zenitsu, Inosuke, who is a man of action, has already started to practice his own breathing method of full concentration during the argument between Tanjiro and Agatsuma Zenitsu. Feeling the change in Inosuke's breath, Tanjiro's attention shifted to him. Tanjiro knew that Inosuke had already tried it. Tanjiro and Agatsuma Zenitsu watched quietly for a long time. After a few minutes, Inosuke finally couldn't hold on and unloaded his strength, then lay down on the bed, gasping for breath. See? Even Inosuke can only hold on for a few minutes. If you keep your full concentration all the time, it might be fatal. Agatsuma Zenitsu said to Tanjiro, as if he had expected the result. Senior Bai Yu said that nothing can be accomplished overnight, so we should start with small goals. First persist for 10 minutes, then persist for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and an hour. Tanjiro was not affected by Zenitsu Agatsuma's negative attitude, but lowered the 1 hour standard that Bai Yu said and started from 10 minutes. Then you guys persist slowly, I'd better have a comfortable sleep first. Zenitsu Agatsuma did not intend to learn the idea of full collection normal, and after saying that, he fell on the bed. Chapter 297 A new training begins. Tanjiro did not force Zenitsu Agatsuma for the time being, but said to Inosuke, let's learn full concentration normal state together. Yoshi, I will definitely learn it before you, and then defeat that female before you. Inosuke said with high morale. Inosuke is the kind of person who will keep working hard after knowing the method because he doesn't want to be surpassed by Tanjiro. After that, Tanjiro and Inosuke began to practice full concentration normal state and did not participate in recovery training again because Bai Yu had told Tanjiro that even if he did recovery training for a lifetime, he would not be able to defeat Kaneo because the focus of the problem is not in training, but in Tanjiro himself. Aoi Kanzaki, who didn't know the situation, waited for Tanjiro for a long time, but didn't wait for him. She couldn't help but get angry, and then complained, Tanjiro, you guy didn't come to training. Really? Tanjiro-san may have gone to practice full concentration normal state. Zyra King on the side guessed. Zyra Cheng and Kanaho also nodded in agreement. Hearing this, Kanzaki Aoi was puzzled. How did Tanjiro know about full collection normal? How did he know about full collection normal? Kanzaki Aoi immediately asked Zyra King, Zyra Cheng and Kanaho. Tanjiro-san said that a man named Bai Yu told him. Kanaho replied. Hearing Bai Yu, Kanzaki Aoi quickly remembered the handsome white-haired boy who had fascinated her. Kanzaki Aoi knew that Bai Yu was the main special training member of the Demon Slayer Corps in a backyard of the Butterfly House. She also collected various news about Bai Yu privately. As a result, most of the news collected were various scandals between Bai Yu and Kocho Shinobu, which made her extremely shy. Of course, these are not the most important. The most important thing is that Bai Yu is not only unfathomable, but also seems to have a lot of privileges. He was able to bring Nezuko, who had turned into a demon, back to the headquarters without any punishment. She naturally didn't know the details, and she didn't have the authority to inquire about it, which made Bai Yu even more mysterious in Kanzaki Aoi's heart. After that, Kanzaki Aoi left the activity room and found Tanjiro and Inosuke who were practicing full concentration normal state outside the ward. After finding out that they were really practicing seriously, Kanzaki Aoi's anger was much less. She looked around, and after not seeing Agatsuma Zenitsu, Kanzaki Aoi walked up to Tanjiro and asked, Tanjiro, where is Zenitsu? Why didn't he practice full concentration normal state with you? Tanjiro didn't respond immediately and still insisted on maintaining the breathing state of full concentration. Finally, after he couldn't hold on any longer, he breathed a sigh of relief, then wiped the sweat from his forehead, looked at Kanzaki Aoi in front of him and asked, Zyro Kui-chan, why are you here? I saw that you didn't come to participate in the recovery training, so I came to find you. I heard from Zyuking and the others that you were practicing full concentration normal state, right? Kanzaki Aoi replied. Hearing this, Tanjiro nodded. Where's Zenitsu? Why didn't he practice full collection normal with you? Kanzaki Aoi asked Zenitsu again. Hearing Kanzaki Aoi mention Zenitsu, Tanjiro said helplessly, Zenitsu is still the same. He refused to try the method that Senior Bai Yu said, saying that it was impossible to do. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298, Kocho Shinobu's Visit. Hearing this, Kanzaki Aoi was not surprised at all. Following Tanjiro's words, she mocked Agatsuma Zenitsu. That's right, he only has women in his mind. Tanjiro did not refute anything. After all, the facts that Kanzaki Aoi said, the extent to which Agatsuma Zenitsu likes women, Tanjiro had already seen it a few days ago. At that time, Tanjiro had the idea that he would never entrust Nezuko to Zenitsu, even if Senior Bai Yu recognized Zenitsu. Although Agatsuma Zenitsu did not follow Tanjiro and Inosuke to practice full concentration normal, Agatsuma Zenitsu actually hid by the window and peeked at Tanjiro and Inosuke, and also heard Kanzaki Aoi's mockery of himself. For this reason, even Agatsuma Zenitsu himself had no reason to refute, and Agatsuma Zenitsu also admitted that he liked beautiful girls very much. A few days later, Tanjiro and Inosuke's practice also achieved certain results. Now Tanjiro and Inosuke can maintain the state of full concentration normal for half an hour. After breaking the bottleneck, Tanjiro and Inosuke's training efficiency has also improved to a certain extent. However, at this time, Tanjiro couldn't help but worry about Agatsuma Zenitsu. If Agatsuma Zenitsu continues to be decadent, he will definitely be left behind by himself and Inosuke. At this time, Kocho Shinobu heard that Tanjiro and Inosuke were practicing full concentration normal, so she came to inspect the two of them curiously. I don't know why Kocho Shinobu came, but she planned to help Agatsuma Zenitsu regain his fighting spirit. Wow, you are so amazing. You can hold on for so long now. Kocho Shinobu praised Tanjiro and Inosuke, who had exited the full concentration breathing state. Sister Kocho. Tanjiro called Kocho Shinobu sweetly. Of course. I'm very awesome. Inosuke admitted very rudely and proudly. That's right. You are the future hope of the Demon Slayer Corps. Come on. Kocho Shinobu did not hesitate to praise, and continued to praise. Where is that guy Zenitsu? I heard that he doesn't seem to want to practice complete collection normal state. Shinobu Kocho changed the subject and asked about Agatsuma Zenitsu. As soon as she finished speaking, Shinobu Kocho suddenly flashed to a window and then greeted Agatsuma Zenitsu, who was peeking from behind the window with a smile. Hello. What are you doing here, Zenitsu? Agatsuma Zenitsu was immediately frightened by Shinobu Kocho, who suddenly appeared in the window and sat down on the ground. Fortunately, the thing that appeared in front of the window was not an ugly thing, but a beautiful woman, so Agatsuma Zenitsu quickly reacted from the shock. Finally, Zenitsu Agatsuma's expression changed from fright to a pig-like expression. He excitedly asked Shinobu Kocho in front of the window, Kimi-chan, why are you here? Are you here to see me? Shinobu Kocho was not angry at Zenitsu Agatsuma's pig-like expression. She still looked at Zenitsu Agatsuma with a smile and replied, yes, I came here to see you. Open the window quickly. However, Shinobu Kocho also understood why Bai Yu said that Zenitsu Agatsuma had the characteristic of sticking to beautiful women. If she was not a pillar, Shinobu Kocho would really be afraid that Zenitsu Agatsuma would eat her. Hearing this, Zenitsu Agatsuma quickly opened the glass window, then pouted her mouth and moved towards Shinobu Kocho. Shinobu Kocho immediately slapped Zenitsu Agatsuma's face and slapped it aside. Chapter 299, Kocho Shinobu's Encouragement. Shinobu Kocho attacked very quickly. Zenitsu Agatsuma didn't even see Shinobu Kocho make any move. His face was slapped by an external force and thrown to the other side. Shinobu Kocho still looked at Zenitsu Agatsuma with a smile, as if the action just now was not done by her. Zenitsu, what's wrong with you? Shinobu Kocho finally pretended to be unaware and asked Zenitsu Agatsuma with concern. Zenitsu Agatsuma didn't know that it was Shinobu Kocho who hit him, and he didn't see that it was Shinobu Kocho who hit him, so he covered his face in confusion, looking at a loss. Just now it seems like something hit my face. Agatsuma Zenitsu answered with some fear, then looked at Kocho Shinobu in horror and asked, Kohei-chan, there won't be any unclean things in this place, right? Kocho Shinobu saw Agatsuma Zenitsu's timid look and smiled even more brilliantly, and then said, it's okay. It's okay. How could those things come out in broad daylight? Hearing this, Agatsuma Zenitsu's hair all over his body trembled, goosebumps all over his body, and then he swallowed hard, and finally said tremblingly, Kohei-chan, so, are there really those unclean things here? If so, I have to move in and sleep with you. Agatsuma Zenitsu's words made Kocho Shinobu secretly look up to Agatsuma Zenitsu in her heart. This guy actually calculated himself. In order to get close to girls, Agatsuma Zenitsu's brain is really smart, and he can come up with such a reason. Kocho Shinobu can't tell now, Agatsuma Zenitsu is really scared. Or is he pretending to be scared to get close to girls? My dead sister is guarding the place where I live. Are you sure you want to come? My sister comes to see me every night. I meet my sister every day. Shinobu Kocho did not fall for Zenitsu Agatsuma's trick, but brought up her own sister to scare Zenitsu Agatsuma. When Zenitsu Agatsuma heard this, he was really scared. He couldn't help but take a few steps back and distanced himself from Shinobu Kocho outside the window. Zenitsu Agatsuma did not expect Shinobu Kocho to be such a tough guy. He actually met a dead person. Although Zenitsu Agatsuma felt that Shinobu Kocho might have hallucinated because she missed her sister too much, regardless of whether it was an illusion or not, Zenitsu Agatsuma gave up the idea of getting close to Shinobu Kocho. I was just kidding. Seeing that Zenitsu Agatsuma was frightened, Shinobu Kocho changed the subject and said, Zenitsu, why don't you practice full concentration normal state with Tanjiro and Inosuke? This won't work. Seeing that Shinobu Kocho was here to persuade him to practice full concentration normal state, Zenitsu Agatsuma lost interest all of a sudden, then stretched, collapsed on the bed again, and said, I can't do that kind of thing. I'm a weakling, and if I hadn't followed Senior Bai Yu all the way, I might have died long ago. Hearing Zenitsu Agatsuma's self-denying words, Shinobu Kocho jumped into the room from the window, then stood in front of Zenitsu Agatsuma's bed, and said, no, you're amazing. Spider Mountain, you not only killed the ghost, who used poison to turn people into human-headed spiders, but also used your own intelligence and breathing to slow down the spread of the toxin, and persisted until I arrived. Chapter 300 Blowing the Gourd. Shinobu Kocho knew that Zenitsu Agatsuma was actually quite talented, but it was his personality that prevented him from having a clear understanding of himself. Really? Am I really that powerful? Did I really kill that ghost? Zenitsu Agatsuma sat up from the bed and asked excitedly and in disbelief. On that day at Spider Mountain, Zenitsu Agatsuma had no idea what had happened. He only knew that he thought it was a dream, and after waking up, he was already lying on the wooden house with a blurred consciousness. With the guidance of his grandfather, he used his breathing to slow down the spread of the poison until Shinobu Kocho came to rescue him. Yes, Zenitsu is very powerful. I believe you can definitely learn full collection normal state. Shinobu Kocho praised with certainty, and then grabbed Zenitsu Agatsuma's hands and held them tightly in her palms. As long as you learn full concentration normal state, we can fight side by side. I'm looking forward to going on a mission with Zenitsu. Shinobu Kocho struck while the iron was hot and continued to seize Zenitsu Agatsuma's weakness, using her beauty to inspire Zenitsu Agatsuma's fighting spirit. Zenitsu Agatsuma naturally fell for this trick and was fascinated by Shinobu Kocho in a few words, and his whole face was as red as a monkey's butt. Zenitsu Agatsuma shouted excitedly, I will definitely do it. Zenitsu Agatsuma, who was pumped up with chicken blood, turned over and jumped out of the window, and then began to practice full concentration normal state with Tanjiro and Inosuke. The reason why Zenitsu Agatsuma was so excited was that he mistakenly thought that Shinobu Kocho's words were a disguised confession to him. So in order to get the opportunity to act with Shinobu Kocho, Zenitsu Agatsuma was pumped up with chicken blood and began to practice full concentration normal state. Shinobu Kocho looked at Zenitsu Agatsuma, who had rekindled his fighting spirit, and a happy smile appeared on her face. Although she didn't know what Shinobu Kocho said to Zenitsu Agatsuma, Tanjiro was happy for him when he saw that Zenitsu Agatsuma was finally willing to practice full concentration normal state. After that, Tanjiro, Zenitsu Agatsuma and Inosuke practiced full concentration normal state very hard, and the days of hard practice were fulfilling and comfortable. Seeing Tanjiro, Zenitsu Agatsuma and Inosuke practicing full concentration normal state so hard, Koki, Kasumi and Kanaho were happy for Tanjiro and the others. Let's go and give them the rice balls. Yes, and give them the good that Lord Kocho asked. So, Koki, Kasumi and Kanaho placed the prepared luncheon good on the wooden walkway outside the house. Everyone, it's time to eat, Koki said to Tanjiro and the other two who had stopped practicing and looked tired. Hearing this, Tanjiro, Agatsuma, Zenitsu and Inosuke all came over eagerly and then picked up the rice bowls on the plates and started eating. Tanjiro soon noticed the three goods placed next to the table and asked with a puzzled look on his face, "What are these three goods filled with?" "Nothing. They are for you to blow," Zio Cheng replied. Hearing that the goods were for blowing, Tanjiro was even more puzzled because this good was not made into a Hyolusi and there were no holes in the good. How to blow it? Exclamation mark. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.